How much wealth is controlled by millionaires all across the globe? The number is pretty surprising and unimaginable. $173.3 trillion according to Credit Suisse. The US GDP is almost $21 trillion. That's like more than 8 United States combined. If you can't get your head around it, listen to this. 83.9% of the world's wealth is owned by the top 10%. That really shows how unequal the world is. Despite all of the technological advancement that we have made, the vast majority of the world's population still lives pretty poorly, and only a tiny percentage enjoys all the pleasures that life has to offer. Because the bottom half of the wealth pyramid manages only 1.4% of the global wealth. While these numbers seem absurd, the reality is that equality is impossible to achieve because at the end of the day, you can't reward two people equally where one works hard while the other doesn't. Of course, there are also other factors that play an important role such as luck, talent, and so on. However, being at the top of the wealth pyramid requires a lot of luck, and that's not what I think. If you ask any billionaire, that's what they will tell you. Take an example, tech billionaires. Back in the 1990s and 2000s, there were thousands of tech companies and only a few of them survived and made it to the top. And it wasn't because they were smarter or worked harder, but rather because their ideas matched with the future of tech, or they found an investor before the 2000s crash like Amazon did. No one knew that this crash will happen or how exactly the future of tech would look like. As they say, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. However, you don't have to be a billionaire to experience life's greatest pleasure. It takes way less than that. But even earning, or most importantly saving $1 million takes an effort, especially if it's your first $1 million. It takes years of commitment and dedication. But people still keep looking for shortcuts. The good news is that there are shortcuts. They're called productive habits because they're not difficult to develop, but they will certainly lead you to financial independence. But why do we want to become financially free in the first place? What is the ultimate goal? The answer should be obvious. Making money for the sake of money isn't smart. It can be fun, but most people find meaning in making the world a better place, or building a loving family, or creating products or services that make our lives better. So eventually, we want to become financially free to have the time to do what we want. That's why it is extremely important to be as productive as possible, because the more productive you are, the more time you're going to have, since you're taking the best possible advantage out of every passing hour. So here are 5 productive habits that I personally follow, and you should too if you're serious about becoming financially independent. But before we do that, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Number 1. Mental toughness. A wise man once said, "It is not about what happens to you, but rather it is about how you react to it." It sounds a bit fake, but there is truth to it. It's probably one of the best pieces of advice I have ever received. What separates a successful person from a non-successful person is that one has mental toughness to put his mind and do things that are tough, instead of just giving up and saying that, "I don't feel like doing that." Have you heard about that you need 10,000 hours to master something? On your way to master any craft, you're going to get bored, you're going to get tired, you're going to get exhausted. The people who are going to make it to the end are the ones who have the mental toughness to keep moving no matter what. Mental toughness is more like a habit. If you quit once, it is going to turn into a habit. So whatever you do, you keep quitting on your way. Haven't you seen people who jump from one thing to another, trying one thing for a few months, it doesn't work, the excitement goes away, so they move to another thing, and then they do that for a few months and they say that it's not for them, so they move to a third thing, and then they find themselves too old. What you want to develop in yourself is this mentality that it's not about what happens around you, but how you look at it. Jordan Peterson says, "Life is a misery. It's always going to throw at you all sorts of problems. It's unpredictable and everything is possible. You might end up losing your job, you can end up in the streets, the closest people will leave you, and the challenge is to have the mental toughness not to break down and keep moving." Number 2. Learn how to delegate. What most people realize too late is that they can't go far alone. There is just so much time and energy you have in a day. You can't chop yourself in half and do the job of 2 people, leave alone the job of 100%. But at the same time, great things are usually done by more than one person. We all know that Steve Jobs was behind the success of Apple, but if you take a look at what actually happened, it was Johnny Ive, for example, who came to Jobs with the idea of touchscreen, and if it wasn't for the entire team of designers at Apple, iPhone would have never come to be. The point is, the more you want to achieve, the bigger the team you need. That's why you need to master the art of delegation. Anything that can be done by someone else should be delegated, because you should only focus on the creative part that no one else can do. In fact, if you can even delegate the creative part as well, then congrats, you have built an amazing business that works without you. It's a dream come true. It's the ultimate level of financial independence. Number 3. Being able to accept criticism. Everyone likes when people praise them. It makes you feel great, special, and you love the people who praise you. But the problem with praising is that it doesn't necessarily help except giving you a momentary great feeling. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be praised, but what is better when people criticize you, because that's when you know your flaws, and when you know your flaws, you can fix them and get better. While when you're praised, you don't get to know what you should be working on. Take this video. If I ask my friends what they think about it, if one of them would tell me it is great, I'm going to post it the way it is. While when the other would say that the audio, for example, could be better, or this or that part is unnecessary, then I can fix it and improve the quality of the video. Which means you're going to enjoy it more. Which means the YouTube is going to promote it more often, and so on and so forth. The only problem is that most people hate criticism, and they get angry when you tell them what they're doing wrong. So if you want to become financially free, learn how to see the value of criticism. Make it a habit to be comfortable when you're being criticized. Don't get emotional and try to look at it from the perspective of the person that criticized you. Number 4. Self-reliance. It's always great to have people around you who support you, a family whom you can turn to when in trouble, friends who are always there to be beside you. But the reality of life is that you can't always rely on people. And that's not because people are bad, but because they have their own lives and responsibilities. In fact, human relationships are complicated because we humans are emotional creatures. People can be friends for years and stop talking to each other because of a single bad incident. So you don't want to let your fate to be in the hands of luck. You want to make sure that no matter what happens, you can always walk away and you don't need anyone in this life. You can always rely on yourself. That doesn't mean you should be alone or lonely, but everyone, especially you, should know that you can easily rely on yourself if something goes wrong. That's the most powerful trait you can ever develop. In fact, when people know that you're self-reliant, you become more attractive. People will want to be with you because self-reliance is so seductive. Number 5. Always remember that time is the only thing that you can never have more. The entire point of productivity is to save time, because time is your most valuable resource. People often say that time is money, but the truth is that time is not money, because money can be earned back. But when your time is gone, it is gone, and you can never do anything about it again. This is not something surprising, we all know this, but the problem is that we always forget this fact. That's why we end up wasting so much time. Set a reminder, stick somewhere on the wall, change your phone wallpaper where it constantly reminds you that time is running. That doesn't mean you should constantly be worried about it, especially when you are on a vacation or having a good time with family or friends. In fact, whoever you are having a great time with, you should not check the time, because living at the moment is far more important. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thanks for watching, and until next time.